Hey everybody, I'm going to do something kind of new here, and I'm going to do a not very edited video because I feel like we have an update that we haven't really been keeping with the weekly updates, obviously because it's been very busy for me. But in addition, it's also very hot in West Texas, and my time is extremely limited as it's been through this entire beginning of the stage. But we'll have a major update coming pretty soon because there has been a lot that's been done to the Jeep. But I think it'd be kind of fun to take a tour of what's underneath and to kind of show you some things around about some of the things I'm going to be doing, as well as some of the things I've already done. So let's take a look at what's going on underneath. And so welcome to underneath JP Build Unit 93. We're not really looking at too much on this, obviously, but I think it's time to get into some kind of the technical specs on things. So right off the bat, like I mentioned in the first video, of course, if a Jeep isn't leaking, then it's out of fluid. So we've got our typical leaks that we see around most gaskets over here. The drain plug has a little bit of oil on it. You see that guy right there. So I'm sure that's going to drip on my shirt eventually. But we do have a lot of leaks, and so we're going to have some gaskets replaced, some hoses, everything. One of the things that actually brought me under here was the reverse lights were not working, and the bulbs were good to go. Tested those, the sockets were good where they go, and so which brings us to that little guy right there, which is attached to the transmission, and that is a reverse sensor indicator. And essentially all it is a push button kind of ball, look like the end of a ballpoint pen, but whenever you actually shift into reverse, that will throw that on and send a signal through that wire to say, hey, let's turn on those lights. So our reverse lights are working, and that's always a plus. Not a bad fix. It's a 22 or 25 millimeter wrench. Ended up having to kind of finagle my way through there, but got it done, no big deal. But the main reason that brought me under here is we have a rattle that I just cannot solve. And at first I thought, okay, well, maybe it's our exhaust system. It's pretty old, and it's also, you know, missing something right there. And it comes all the way out over here, if you can kind of see it. So yeah, like I said, we're missing something. It's a little bit louder than what I would like, even for a Jeep. And we're also missing a heat shield on there. And this muffler is completely terrible. So a new exhaust system is probably going to be in the works on this. One of the other things that Jeep doesn't do very well, in my opinion, is this gasket right here that actually connects to the header tube to the start of the exhaust. I don't even have to look at this to know that this is bad. So this is part of where our exhaust leak is coming from, and it's not fun. So I've done one of these on my 99 TJ. Wasn't a big deal. It takes about 20 minutes if you're a professional, so it's going to take me about 3 hours to replace this, but still no big deal. But that's going to, you know, keep the cabin from flooding with fumes, which it kind of does a little bit right now. And so I've got to have tape right here. But we've got some really cool things that happen on the inside, and we're going to save those for the major update. But really cool stuff, and having to do that right now. But anyway, going back to the sound and the clunk as I'm driving. So I came back here, noticed that I've got a little bit of fluid that's coming from our T case, and truthfully, I think a lot of it is due to, man, this camera work's going to be like a Jason Bourne movie, so sorry everybody, but as you can see, I've got quite a little bit of a difference between, like, as far as where it actually goes into the transfer case. So most of that, I would imagine, is going to be due to the lift, and like I said, that's going to be coming off, so hopefully we will have to deal with that. And one of the U-joints, which is right here, needed to be replaced, and right now it doesn't move nearly as much as what it did. So I've got that replaced. Didn't help with the noise, so I can eliminate probably the rear drive shaft. It did sound like it's coming more from the front. So if we go back, more than likely I'm gonna end up having to replace this U-joint, because if I give this a shake, it just bounces around quite a bit. So this is going to be my next thing, is I'm going to pull this drive shaft. I'm going to drive around with it just to see if that noise goes away, because that noise is possibly coming from up here. And I mean, there's just a ton of play in this thing. And quite frankly, whenever this lift was put on, which was probably ages ago, it just did not, I mean, once you start getting like over 3 inches, you have to start changing things out like your drive shaft, because it changes the angle of all of this. So that's going to be something that hopefully we can deal with. And as you can see, I've already marked, so this way it can all commit. But another issue with the YJ's Jeeps, which I've never even known, they have a vacuum assist valve, which is right here. I have it disconnected, and actually came disconnected. So this plugs into here, and there's a little articulating device right here that will actually lock, I'm assuming, the axles and really enable the four-wheel drive. The odd thing is, whenever this is disconnected, I can still go into four-wheel drive. And when it is connected, it only indicates four-wheel drive, and I can't shift out of it. So this is going to be an issue. There's a lot of places on the forums that say there's a way to delete this, and I'm probably going to look into it as well. But like I said, one of the big reasons why I like this is there is a lot of room to work in here. I'm on my crawler right now, and I mean, I can stick my head mostly up in through all this and see everything. Very, very basic stuff, so I still appreciate it. And the other thing I'm going to be working on is the temperature sending unit, which is going to be back here, roughly. Oh, I can't see it. The temperature sending unit, which is going to be right around here somewhere, just to make sure we have our thermostat working correctly. So like I've mentioned, it is very hot here, and so I don't like necessarily working out here as much as I can. And time is very limited. Mosquitoes come out at like 8 o'clock, which is about the only time that it cools down. So hopefully once we get to fall, it's going to be a lot nicer. I'll be able to do a lot more stuff on the exterior. I do have the lift back ordered, and so we'll bring that back to stock, which I think was going to solve a lot of problems as far as like ride, feel, and everything else, and taking a lot of the stress off the components that were not replaced whenever the 3.5-inch lift was put on. So we will probably end up having to send out, I'm going to have the transmission looked at as well. Obviously, I don't know anything about how to redo a transmission, so that's going to be my next thing, is finding somebody local. But we do have a lot of really cool things coming up. I got some really cool stuff that was ordered online that's in the mail here. And on this next major update, we're going to be talking about the paint and a big revelation that I had with it. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully we'll get that completed in the next 2 weeks, and wish me luck.